Greetings and salutations, fellow classmates. To quote the late Nelson Mandela, as we all know, education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world. Change can come in many forms and, more importantly, must develop at its own pace. This idea is one of the key themes of the movie that we have selected for our project.
In our video project, we will be analyzing a film directed by Robert Menendez. A film that, according to the New York Times, is a fountain of inspiration that reveals the unusual nature of progress. A film that Roger Ebert claimed to be a shining example of the purposes and miracles of education. Of course, the film that we are describing is none other than Stand and Deliver.
In our video, we will be analyzing three major dimensions of the film: educational history and laws, the role of ethics and dispositions, and educational issues impacting teaching and learning. So without further ado, let's get started. In the beginning of the movie Stand and Deliver, Mr. Escalante has arrived at James A. Garfield High School, located in eastern Los Angeles, where he is expected to get hired to teach computer science. An educational issue that Mr. Escalante encounters is when he realizes the school is lacking the resources for the subject he was planning to teach. The school does not have enough funds to obtain computers. Therefore, Mr. Escalante is faced with his first teaching issue, where he now has to teach math, a subject that he was not looking forward to, but comes out to be very successful at the end. Soon as Mr. Escalante enters the first day at his classroom, he realizes his classroom is full of Hispanic students that come from hard-working class families who are way below their grade level in terms of academic skills and have a lot of social problems. The issue does not put down Mr. Escalante. He strives to change the school culture to help the students excel in academics by going above and beyond the curriculum that the students was expecting. In a faculty meeting that they discussed that the school is in probation and are seeking ways and things they can do to maintain a good standing and not lose their accreditation of the school. Since no one is seen to come up with any thoughts, Mr. Escalante steps up and brings an idea of making the students take upper level course to obtain college credit. They look at him with a bizarre gesture because they underestimate the ability of the student's success with the AP exam. He continues his bright idea, then faces an issue when the school does not support him and they hardly have confidence in him. Therefore, the students are having to meet on weekends to prepare for the AP exam in an unpleasant environment with a lack of sufficient air. An educational issue seen in the movie is when Anita, a straight-A student in Mr. Escalante's class, declares that she will not continue to go to school anymore due to the fact that her father wanted her to run the family business as a waitress. The issue Anita faces is the fact that she does not receive support from her father to continue going the educational route. Mr. Escalante takes action and personally talks to her father to make him understand that Anita is capable of going to college and have a higher education. The father gets aggravated and so they do not obtain any agreement. The father is stubborn enough to insist that she has to follow the family's tradition. Luckily, the following day, Anita shows up and stays for the rest of the school year. An issue that the students from Mr. Escalante face is when they know they have prepared real hard for the calculus AP exam to receive college credit, and when the results come in, they are accused of cheating. Educational Testing Service questions the success of the students, insisting there was too much overlap in their errors and suggests the students cheated. This issue was brought up due to the fact that the students were Latinos. In the end, the students retake the exam with the Educational Testing Service representatives in the room, and when they get the results, they prove to everyone that Latinos are capable of doing as much as any other cultural and race group can do.
Jaime Escalante is a prominent example of how a teacher with the right attitude can have outstanding results with even the most difficult students. He possesses the quality that we believe to be essential for each teacher to have if they wish to see a great deal of progress in his or her students. That quality is the ability to believe in the potential of their students regardless of their backgrounds. In a scene where the faculty of Jaime's school are discussing the potential loss of the school's accreditation, they are pessimistically discussing solutions, which in the long run won't solve anything. However, not only does Jaime disagree with certain solutions, but he offers what seems like a radical solution. That solution is to teach calculus at the school to prepare students for the AP calculus exam. Even though the principal scoffs at the idea, Jaime still pursues it with his students who are very behind in his education. Personally, we believe that Jaime understands the situations of not only his students, but of thousands of students across the United States when he says, "It's not that they're stupid, it's just that they don't know anything." In that very line, Jaime subtly reveals that he does not see his students for the trouble that they make or for the lost causes that he sees them. It is this lack of faith and determination in his colleagues have that not only makes the situation worse because of the students treated and perceived as incapable, then no progress can be made. Jaime believes that through education, a student can be something greater and more capable than what his or her peers may judge him to be. Another quality that complements Jaime's perseverance is the unbreakable patience that he possesses. A prominent example of this is when Jaime asks a student if he knows his times tables. That student, with a mean look on his face, spitefully raises his middle finger to Jaime. Now, rather than to turn the student in, Jaime stoically uses the opportunity to teach the student a simple method of finding the first multiples of 9. However, the best case of his unwavering personality is when a group of students intimidatingly enter the classroom with Jaime, who is by himself. As the students surround him in what seems like a threatening manner, a student puts his finger onto Jaime's chest. Now, unfazed, Jaime diffuses the situation by responding in a comedic fashion. "I wouldn't do that if I were you. You might lose a finger and you won't be able to count to 10. Without having to raise his voice or threaten the students with punishment, Jaime is able to stand his ground. Teachers that have great success in classroom management are those who do not allow their students or their classes' misbehavior and disrespect to hinder them in the slightest. In fact, Jaime was able to use the misbehavior and disrespect and turn it against the students in a manner that did not demean them. Instead of turning the students in, Jaime used the situation to teach 2 things. First, he encouraged the students to focus themselves on the lesson or the assignment. Second, something that provides a reminder that the teacher will not be moved by anything that is meant to bother them. Jaime is an excellent example of how the right attitude and the right level of patience can make all the difference in teaching.
At the beginning of the movie, Stand and Deliver, the teacher, Mr. Escalante, enters the classroom for the first time and asks the students that do not speak English to move to the front of the classroom for a more facilitated instruction. This scene correlates with the English-only laws that were repealed in 1968, because the movie takes place only 2 decades after these laws were repealed. And we can see how there was already a big movement in order to create a more equitable classrooms that have been more prominent now in the 21st century. In the movie Stand and Deliver, the students in Mr. Escalante's classroom were grouped by the academic ability they had. This was established in the court case Hobson v. Hansen in 1967, which decided that the students could be grouped by ability or achievement. This is still used today, but we are now reaching for a more integrated classroom. Another scene that was very prominent was when the school administrator was asking the teachers what else they could do in order to stop being in probation and avoid losing the accreditation of the school. This scene has a relationship with the now present No Child Left Behind Act in 2001. In this act, the teachers are responsible for meeting federal standards, but in the long term, it could mean that the teachers are also responsible for the accreditation of the schools. Another scene that can be in correlation with the educational policy is when Mr. Escalante receives a letter of dismissal that did not state why he was being fired, but instead one of the administrators implies that it is because the school staff believed he was responsible for the students cheating. This has a correlation with the court case Regent State Colleges versus Roth in 1972 that decided non-tenured teachers or teachers who were not contracted for more than a year did not have to be given a reason for dismissal. This is the relationship between the film Stand and Deliver and the history and laws that have influenced the educational practice we have in place today.
Well, that concludes our presentation. We thank you guys very much for your time, and we hope you all learned a lot. And as we all say,
Go Dust Devils!